On the back side of the trachea right here, you see this flattened sort of tube that's a little bit darker in color. This right here is the esophagus, and it continues back down behind the lungs, behind the heart, through the diaphragm. And eventually, it's a little weird in this cat. There it is. But eventually, you can see right here, it meets the stomach. And between where it meets the stomach, I'll do it a third time too, so if you were still wrong, that's okay. Between where it meets the stomach, where the esophagus meets the stomach, right here would be where you'd find that cardiac sphincter. Here would be the stomach, and the big folds are called the rugae. So when the stomach is like empty and it contracts down, there are going to be a lot more of those folds. But when it's full and distended, it'll be, a lot fewer rugae. If I were to cut it open, you'd see the chyme on the inside. Okay. Now, before I go any further, attached to the stomach right here, you see this, it kind of spreads like an apron over his abdomen. This is the greater omentum, and it's his belly fat, all right? And I'm going to do this accessory organ right here. This attached right here is the spleen, okay? And it looks like kind of like a tongue. It has immune function, but we're not going to go into too much detail with it. Okay. And right here would be his liver, right? And where's his gallbladder? His gallbladder is a little weird here. But you see this right here? That would be his gallbladder. Normally it's going to be really green, and usually it's like there's a big cleft here. I don't know what the deal is with this cat. He's just kind of funky, honestly. really, really funky. Maybe he was inbred or something. Anyway, okay, so here's the stomach. And then when we get to the bottom of the stomach, where it meets the small intestine right here, we see this little cleft. That's where you'd find that pyloric sphincter. Right here would be the first part of the small intestine, this kind of darker colored part. This is the duodenum. And on the back side of the duodenum, you can see kind of embedded in it this sort of kind of white, mushy stuff. It doesn't really look like an organ at all, does it? This right here is the pancreas. And like I said, it's closely associated with the duodenum. That's where it's going to release its lipase, so that's why it's right there. Now, holding the small intestine together in bunches, you can see this membrane right here with the vessels running through it. This is the mesentery. So make sure you don't confuse greater omentum. The greater omentum is connected to the stomach. It's got the fat in it, with the mesentery, which is attached to the small intestine, and it does not have a lot of fat connected to it. Okay. So we had the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, but all this stuff that's kind of in the middle here, that's sort of not, you can see it's not really near the stomach, it's not really near the large intestine. This is the jejunum. Like I said, it's just kind of nondescript. It's just kind of like, it's not duodenum, it's not, ileum, it's just jejunum. Okay. As we get further down, we get to the last part of the small intestine. It's a little funny to get to sometimes. But right here, the last part of the small intestine, this is the ileum. And you see this big kind of bump here, kind of looks sort of like a thumb. This right here would be the cecum, the first part of the large intestine. And you can see how much thicker it is. You compare that to. And right in here is where you'd find the ileocecal valve. So ileo, because ileum, cecal, because of cecum. So the cecum continues, it's kind of like this curved part of the small intestine here, or large intestine here. And when it starts to run sort of parallel along the cat's spine, this would be the colon. Okay. And then down here at the base where it starts to narrow, that's where you would find the rectum. Okay. And then I won't point to his anus, but I think you guys have it. Okay.